All right. Good evening to everyone. Tonight we're going to be learning Daf Kuf Dalid, and as well we're going to be learning, I'll say, part of Daf Kuf Hey Amud Aleph, because until about an hour ago, I thought it was Wednesday. So I did prepare approximately half of the Amud. We're going to actually stop at the Perek, and then we'll pick up on Motzei Shabbos with the balance. If you look on Daf Kuvav Amud Aleph, we will compensate for our losses with the Amud Aleph of Kuvav, and we'll make it all work out. My apologies that it'll be a little bit shorter tonight. I would have loved to go to the bottom of the daf had I known that it was Thursday before Mincha, which I did not. So let's get started. We're going to be starting on the bottom of Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Beis. We're about 12 lines up, maybe a little bit more. Right after the two dots, first words on the line is starting with Amar Rabbi Yehuda Matzinu Shem Katan Mishem Gadol. In our Mishnah, we learned that if a person writes the first two letters of the name Shmuel, and they write Shem or Noach from the name Nahor, or Dan from the name Daniel, all the examples we saw yesterday, so then you're going to potentially be chayiv. So it says the Gemara, mi dami, but it's not the same thing. If I write the shin and mem, if I write the word shem, shin and then a mem sofis, mi dami, mem de shem sasum. The mem, when I write the word shem, that mem is closed off. It's not an open mem, but mem de Shimon, if I start writing Shimon, shin, and then an open mem, so that mem de Shimon pasuach. They're not the same words, bichlal. The word Shimon, the word shame with an open mem is an incomplete word. So it says the Gemara, Amar Rav Chizda Zosomeris, what implies from here, namely what implies from our Mishnah, is sasum v'aso pasuach kasher. That in regards to the world of Safros, of Sifrei Torah, that if one were to write a sasum and they made it pasuach, so then the din is that it would be kosher. Says the Gemara, Meisive, are you sure that's right? We have some sources in the Tanaim that seem to not agree with that. Uchsav tam, famous pasuk from the Torah, shetei ksiva tama. The writing has to be tama. What does tama mean? Take a look at the first of the longest lines in Rashi. Rashi says tam, shalem kehilchasa. The letters have to all be accurate. Back in the Gemara, we're 9 lines up in the widest lines from the bottom. Shel yichtov alfin einin alfin. You cannot switch aleph and ayins. Basin, kafin, kafin, basin, basin, kaf. You cannot switch gemin, tzadin, tzadin, gemin, gimels, and tzadis, which in Ksav Ashuris have some similarities to them. Dalsin, Ratian, Dalsin, obviously Dalet and Resh look a lot alike. Hey and Ches and hey, and you can't interchange them as well. Vav and Yud and Yud and Vav and Vavs and Yuds are a very similar build. One's just shorter. Zayin and Nun and Zayin, they are also somewhat similar in their look. Tessin, Pefin, Tessin, the letters Tes and Pei have certain similarities to them. In fact, some of the Meforshim point out that we learn from here that a Tes has a rounder corner on the top right side because the letter Fei has a rounder corner. Some imply that from here. Kfufin, Pshutin, Kfufin. What is that talking about? Keep a finger here. Take a look at Rashi, 3 lines from the bottom. Rashi says, toward the beginning of that line, Kfufin, Kaf, Pei, Tzadi, Nun. Pshutin, says Rashi, hakfulos shelahen pshutos, namely the letters that have a sophis to them. The mem has a sophis to them, and the tzadi has a sophis to them. So that's what pshutin is. Kfufin are the regular ones, the ones that are curved. You write a fei this way, but the fei sophis is longer. It just kind of has a more of a length to it. So that's what the Gemara is saying here too, that these all have to be accurate. Memen samachin memen. Stumen, psuchen, stumen. That's the important din for us, is that if it's not done the right way, then it doesn't count. Let's continue. Parsha psucha lo yasen stuma. If you have a parsha that should have been written open, you cannot write it closed, namely the spacing. If you've ever lain before, you'll see that in the Torah, sometimes even on one line, there's a space of X number of letters. Sometimes it repaginates to a new paragraph, a variety of different sugyas that are woven in here. This is a very, very important brisa for halachic purposes, but we don't have time to go into the Shulchan Aruch to discuss a lot of that. So let's continue. That you should not make a parsha psucha, one that should be open, into one that's closed, and vice versa. Stuma lo yasen psucha. If you wrote a regular parsha in the Torah, kasva kishira, you wrote it like the Shiras Hayam, which was written segmented, right? Three stanzas and then two stanzas and then three stanzas and then two stanzas. But you did it by Bereshis Bara Elokim Es Hashemayim V'Sarach. You did it in the wrong place. Oh, Shekasav Es Hashira Kayotze Ba, or you wrote the Shira, which is supposed to be written in that unique way. You wrote it like regular parsha, just line by line. Oh, Shekasav Shelo B'Dio, you wrote with something other than regular ink. Oh, Shekasav Es Haz Karos B'Zahav, you wanted to be Mishabeach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you decided that every time it says Shem Hashem in the Torah, you're going to use gold foil. And you take a heating element, and every time it says Hashem, it's gold. Beautiful, beautiful, but Hare Elu Yignazu. It's not kosher. Now, most critically, what we had a problem with is that Reb Chizda made a tzushtel. He inferred from our Mishnah that you can take something that's sasum, a mem that's sasum, and it's equivalent to a mem that's pasuach. Yet, what do we see in this Gemara? We see in this source in the Torah that that's not true. Answers the Gemara, Rav Chizda must have held, Hu de Amar Ki Aitana, 4 lines from the bottom, he must have held like the following Tana. The Tanya, the Brisa writes, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Omer, Ne'amar B'Sheni, on the second day of the Korbanos, it says V'niskehem, an extra letter of Mem, B'Shishi Unisacheha, an extra letter there of Yud, B'Shvi Kimishpatam, and on the 7th day it has a letter. For those of us who've ever learned that before, hey, why are some of these words a little bit different? Here's why those words are different. Because this Brisa, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says that we needed that Hare, second line from the bottom, Mem Yud Mem Mayim. Mikan Remez Lenisuch Mayim Mina Torah. From here we have our Amari Makom that indicates that there is a din doraisa to do the Nisuch HaMayim. And what do we see here? What do we see is Mida Pasuach Ve'asa'u Sasum. The last mem, one of the mems was closed and we opened it. I'm sorry. Mida Pasuach Ve'asa'u Sasum. It was opened and we closed it. Then Sasum Nami, the same can be true there as well by a closed one, like Rav Chizda wanted to say. Sasum Ve'aso Pasuach Kasher, that you can take a mem that's closed and open it, and it would likewise be kasher, thus supporting the opinion of Rav Chizda. Namely, we have a machlokas Tanaim here. We have a machlokas between our Mishnah and Rav Chizda on its heels, and this brisa to try and figure everything out. Basically, if you take a mem sofis and you were to scrape off some of the ink to make it an open mem, would that be kosher? Yes or no? That's a machlokas in the Tanaim and Rav Chizda Paskins Lekula. Says the Gemara, but still, there's still something wrong with that. Why? Here's what's wrong with that. Last 5 words on the page. Mi dummy, can you really say that that's true? Pasuach ve'asau sasum. If you have a mem that's open and you close it off, turning to the top of daf kuf daled amud aleph, iluye kama alalei. You've raised the kedusha. Namely, a mem sofis is more holy than a mem that is not sofis, than a mem that is kfufa. Why? Because Damar of Chizda, Mem v'samach shebeluchos b'neis hayu omded. Famous Gemara, though often misunderstood. Listen carefully. When I first learned this, I thought it was like I learned in day school. It's not true, and it turns a lot of things on its head from what we thought. The Mem and the Samach and the Luchos b'neis hayu omdin, they were floating, and they only were able to stand with a nes. Ella sasum v'aso pasuach. If you have a mem that's closed and you open it, you make it an open mem, that's less chashuv because there was no nace done with that mem. The only nace that was done with a mem was a mem that was closed. A mem sasum, garua kamegarle, you're lowering its level of kedusha. Dama Rav Yirmiyah v'item Rav Chia bar Ava, menatzpach, the letters mem, nun, tzadi, pei, and chav, sofim amrum. The letters that we see that go in the middle of words, not the Sophis letters, but the ones that go in the middle of the words, Sophim Amrum, we got that from Sophim, those who can see. We got those from the Nevi'im. Says the Gemara, V'tizbara, is it possible that we learned that these letters that go in the middle of the words, the Menatzbach letters, Mem, Nun, Tzadi, Pei, and Kaf, that they were learned out from the Nevi'im? It's impossible. V'haksiv, the Torah writes, Eile HaMitzvos, and we have a drasha on that pasuk. What's the drush on the pasuk? She'en hanavi rishai lechadesh davar me'ata. That once the Torah was canonized, no Nevi'im were allowed to be mechadesh anything. You could not change halacha. They can't change things. They can give messages to the Jewish people, but they can't change things. Says the Gemara, okay, I gotcha. Ella mehava havoy. Really, there were those letters, but meidalo hava yadin hai be'emtza teva, hai besof teva. But they didn't know which ones were in the middle of the words and which ones were in the ends of the words. We were unclear. We weren't sure which ones goes where. Va'asut sofim takninhu. And then the Nevi'im came and they clarified for us. Someone have a question? Okay. So then says the Gemara, still, you clarified for us which letters go in the middle of the Akati, but still, Eile HaMitzvos, the drasha still says that the Nevi'im can't paskin like that. You're not allowed to answer that question. It was unknown. The Nevi'im are not allowed to paskin. That's the drasha of Eile HaMitzvos. She'ein hanavi r'shay l'chadash davar me'ata. Ella, says the Gemara, shechachom v'chazru v'yastum. No, the people just forgot, and the Chachamim came back in order to just clarify what needed to be clarified, but it wasn't that they were really paskening; they were just helping us to remember. B'kitzur, what we see from here is that the letter mem, when it's sasum, has more kedusha than the letter mem, which is a krufa, the mem that we have normally in the middle of a word or in the beginning of a word. Gufa, Amar Rav Chizda, Mem, V'samach Shebaluchos B'neis Hayu Omden, as mentioned, that they were floating because they were carved all the way through the luchos. So when you have a circle of the samech, approximately a circle or a mem sasum, so then all the rock in the middle was floating. A remarkable miracle. The Amar Rav Chizda, Ksav Shebaluchos Nikra Mi Bifnim V'Nikra Mi Bachutz. The ksav could be read all the way through. Now, I used to think this means that you could read Anochi Hashem Elokecha properly on both sides of the luchos. That's not what the Gemara says. Obama Rav Chizda, Ksav shebeluchos nikra bibifnim v'nikra bibachutz kegon navuv boban rahav bahar saru varas. All three of these words are inverted. Namely, on the back of the luchos, if it would have said navuv, Tosfos is very bothered. Why are you picking these words? Take a look at Tosfos, the second Tosfos on the page, 10 lines down. Navuv buban bahar rahav. At least give an example of one of the hundreds of words that are found in the luchos. Why did you pick the word nevuv? Very interesting. So some of the other Meforshim try to explain nevuv luchos, fine. Bahar Sinai, okay, good. Saru mehahar, he came down from the mountain. There's ways to play with it to make it connected, but Tosfos, this question on its face is a very strong question. Nevertheless, basically, if you were to look at the back side of the luchos, you would just see the letters inverted. So we write Hebrew from right to left, and if you turned it around, it would say Anochi in the perfect invert. The letters were written inverted. And that brings us to the two dots, about 10 lines down, a quarter of the way down on Kuf Dalet Amud Aleph. Let's continue. And now we're going to be learning the Gemara all about the Aleph base, about what each letter is representative of, and about the various types of gematrias, though they are not framed as gematrias here, they're just framed as informational. And that will bring us literally to the last word on the page, and then we will start with a new Mishnah on the top of Kuf Dalet Amud Beis. Let's go. Amr le Rabbanan, the Rabbi Shimon Levi, the rabbi says, Rabbi Shimon Levi Asudardike, the children came ha'idna now lebei medrasha, to the base medrash. The Amru Mili, they said something so beautiful. De'afilu b'mei Yoshua bin Nun lo itmar kivasayu. Even they didn't say Moshe, because Moshe had Moshe lo kam Moshe, but Yoshua was the next best thing. So they were using Yoshua as the barometer, and they said nothing as beautiful ever had been said before. Have a listen. Aleph Beis, the first two letters. Aleph Bina. Aleph actually means in Hebrew to learn. Aleph means to learn. Learn Bina. Gimel Dalis, the word is not Dalid, it's Dalis technically. We are colloquial about it. We say it how we're comfortable, but it's technically Dalis. And what do these two letters mean? Gomel Dalim. Gimol Dalim. You are supposed to give to poor people. So we've learned two things so far. Learn Bina and give to those who are in need. My time of Pshuta, Kare de Gimel. Why is it that the straight leg of the Gimel, the one that leans over to the left, Legabe Dalis, why is it leaning toward the Dalid? Says the Gemara, Shekain Darko Shel Gomel Chasadim Larutz Achar Hadalim. People who want to be givers are going to be givers, and they're going to pursue the opportunity. They'll be rodfim to pursue the opportunity to give to others. So the Gimel, the straight leg of the Gimel, which leans toward the Dalid, indicates that desire. My time of Pshuta Kare de Dalis Legabe Gimel. Why is it that on the top bar of the dalis, that the back part of that dalit, a small little tiny piece, is pointing toward the gimel? Says the Gemara, "Delimse le nafshe." He's going to have to at some point stop and accept. He has to force himself to accept the gift. He's in need. What can he do? So, if I'm the gomel and someone else is the dal, at some point you just have to accept the gift, hard as it may be. Why is it that the opening of the dalit is facing away from the gimel? If you look at the letter Dalet, it's just shaped like this. So the opening is on this side, but the Gimel is over here. So why is the opening of the Dalet facing in another direction? Says the Gemara, because My time on Mahadar Ape de Dallas Migimel, the litain babitzina, to make sure that the gomel will give it in a tzanua fashion. Ki hechidilo lichseif mine lichsif in Aramaic and used in the Gemara in general means to embarrass, that we need to make sure that we are not going to embarrass the person when we give it to them. This is reminiscent of the famous list of the Rambam of the 8 different levels in which one can give charity, one of the highest of which I should say, is to give in a way where he doesn't know you and you don't know him, because that minimizes all the busha. And here we see a reflection of that idea. What about Hey and Vav, second of the wider lines, middle of the page? That's Shmo Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hey and Vav are parts of Shem Hashem. Zayin Ches Tes Yud Kaf Lamed. What do all of these mean? The imata osakin. All of this is connected. If you do this, if you are Aleph Bina Gemol Dalet, if you learn Torah, and if you give to those who are Dalim, those who are poor, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, here's your Zayin, Zan Osach, he will feed you. The Chain Osach, he'll give you grace, that's your Ches. Umeitiv Lach, there's your Tes. The Nosen Lach Yerusha, your Yud. The Kosher Lach Keser, he'll give you an inheritance. The Kosher Lach Keser, he'll tie for you a crown, there's your Kaf. Lamed La'olam Haba. Beautiful guarantee from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we just do what we're doing, plug away, learn Torah, and make sure to give to those who are in need, that gives us the remarkable guarantee of the letter Zayin Ches Tes Yud Kaf and Lamed, which is Zan, Chain, Meitiv, Yerusha, did I skip one? That's Yud, Lamed, Lach, Keser, Keser, and La'olam Haba. Very powerful. Middle of the page. Mem, Psucha, Mem, Susuma. What about these mems, one open and one closed? Maimar Pasuach, Maimar Sasum. There's some Torah which is Pasuach. Some Torah should be taught. Maimar Sasum, some Torah should not be taught. Rashi here highlights the Maisim Merkava. That's not something that we should be talking about. Nun Kfufa, Nun Pshuta. What about the letter Nun that sometimes is written kind of like a bracket or a parenthesis, and sometimes it's written the long way, like the Nun Sofis, as we call it. Ne'eman Kafuf, Ne'eman Pasha. Take a look at Rashi, ever so beautiful, an inch below where we are, Dibur HaMaschil, Ne'eman Kafuf, Adam Kasher, Tzarech Lios Kafuf Ve'anav, a person who is a kasher person, doesn't say tzaddik, regular person. He needs to be Kafuf Ve'anav, he needs to be a little bit hunched over, Ve'anav, he needs to be humble. Continues Rashi, V'sofo Lios Pashud Ve'zakuf, Le'olam Haba. And what that will do is it will promote you in Olam Haba to be a person who is viewed as a great person. We need to be as humble as we can in this world to be as great as we can in the next world. Continues the Gemara, what about Samech and Ayin? 2 different answers here. One answer is Smoch Aniyim, help poor people. Lishna Charina, Simanim Aseh Batoru Kneosa. You should make Simanim, you should make mnemonics, you should make tricks. Rabbi Rosner, in giving this year, said, here's a good one. What daf is this? It's Kuf Daled. Let's make a code. Kuf Daled is a code. These are the types of things that help us to remember where things are in the Torah. Rashi died on daf Chavtes in Maseches Baba Basra. So his grandchild took over. Chavtes, grandchild. Doesn't even make any sense. Doesn't have to. These are mnemonics that we use to help us learn Torah. And if we use them, then, says the Gemara, that's what Samach Ayin stands for, is Simonim Aseh. We're now Pei Kfufa Pei Pshutza, the letter Pei. Says the Gemara, Pe Pasuach Pe Sasum. This is a real skill. Sometimes we need to know when to open our mouth, and sometimes we know when to close our mouth. Tzadi Kfufa v'Tzadi Pshuta. What about a tzadi, like the one that goes in the beginning of a word and the one that goes at an end of a word? Tzadik Kafuf, Tzadik Pashut. If a person is going to be a tzaddik, they have to be humble, kafuf, they have to bow their head down a little bit. And then when they're in Olam Haba, they'll be a tzaddik that's pashut, they'll be seen as great. Asks the Gemara immediately. We just learned this in the letter Nun. Says the Gemara, Hainu Neman Kafuf Neman Pashut. You're saying the same thing twice. Nun and tzadi have the same exact features to them. Very strange. Answers the Gemara, no. By the first case, by the Nun, we were talking about a kasher, like Rashi highlighted. And over here, we're talking about a tzaddik. But tzidkus is a higher level. Hosif lacha kasuf kfifa al kfifaso. You have to be still a higher level of anibus, a much higher level. Mikan shenasna Torah b'manod rosh, that the Torah was given with a lowered head. Kuf, kadosh, the letter Kuf stands for kadosh. Resh stands for Russia. What's the interface between kadosh and Russia? My taima mehader ape de kuf me resh. Why is it that the kuf and the resh are not open to each other? See, the Rishonim had a problem with this question. If you look at the wording of this question, it says something that's not accurate. My taima mehader ape de kuf. Why is the face of the kuf facing away from the Reish. It's not. The face of the Kuf, the open side of the Kuf is on the left, which is right before the Reish. So some Rishonim explain it doesn't mean that. It just means that the two open parts of the Kuf and the Reish are not facing each other. But what's the reason why they're not separated? Because what's the reason why they don't face each other? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Kuf, the Kadosh. Ein ani achol listakel b'rasha. I can't bring myself to watch someone who's doing something berishus. I can't bring myself to watch. But at the very same time, yad yamin, yad small. Umay taima mehadra tageha de kuf legabe reish. But when in the letter kuf there's a tag, so if this is the top of the kuf, so then right here the tagin points to the right. The little crown that's written on top of the kuf points to the next letter, points to the left, excuse me. It points to the reish. It says the Gemara, my taima, next line, umay taima mehadra tageha. The tageha, the tagin of the kuf, why do they face the reish? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, im chozer bo ani kosher lo keser kamosi. If you come back to me, I'll happily tie a crown on you, no problem. Please just come back. You can have a crown. You can become the prince yet again. Just turn back to me. Don't be the Rasha. Come back and be a kadosh. Umay taima kare de kuf tluya. Why is it that the leg of the kuf is talui? The leg of the kuf hangs. It's not allowed to be connected to the top of the kuf. Says the Gemara, di hadar be le'ayel. So that if the Rasha turns around and decides he wants kendusha, he can crawl right back in between the top part of the kuf and, like, if this is going to be a kuf like this, so then this space here, this is where he can crawl in right there. So that's what the Gemara is saying, is that the Rasha has an opportunity to come back. Says the Gemara, v'le'ol behach. Okay, I guess so, but why can't he go through the bottom? This is all conceptual, of course, and I'm sure there are Maharals on this and Maharshas on this. We said that he goes through the opening toward the top of the kuf. Asks the Gemara, why does it have to be tluya? Why does that piece have to be hanging? Go through the bottom. Who cares? What's the difference? Says the Gemara, a famous Gemara, Misaile the Reish Lakish. This is a beautiful support for the sheet of Reish Lakish. We're 2/3 of the way down. Kuftal Marat Tamar Reish Lakish. My dechsivim leleitzim hu yalitz. If you want to be a leitz, go ahead and be a leitz. V'le'anavim yitain chen. But for those who want to be humble, I will give you grace. Says the Gemara, Bali Tamei Poschenlo. You want to go do something Tamei? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you're a big boy. You got to go make your own decisions. Go ahead and do that. It's up to you. But Bali Taher Messiah also. But if you're going to come back, I'm going to help you. How am I going to help you? I lowered the part of the kuf so that it's tluya, so that it's hanging, so you have an easier access to me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's the principle of Bali Taher Messiah. Let's keep going. Shin Sheker, Taf Emes. These are very well-known Gemaras. Shin represents Sheker. Taf represents the letter Taf in Emes. My time of Sheker Mekarvan Mile. Why is it that the letters of Sheker, Kuf, Re, Shin, they're all right next to each other? And Emes Merachkan Mile, Aleph and Mem and Taf, they are so far apart from each other. Answers the Gemara, Nebach, Shikra Shchiach, because lying is very common. We see it all the time. Kuf, Re, Shin, Shin, Kuf, Reish. But Kushta Lo Shchiach. But hearing someone who only speaks Emes, that's less common. Umay time of Shikra Achada Kare. Why is it that the letters Shin, Kuf, and Reish all stand Achada Kare? They stand on points, on sharp points. The MS Malabe and Levone. MS, it looks like it's standing on bricks. Think about it. The Shin is 3-pronged. The bottom just sits there touching the ground. The Kuf has no 2 feet to stand on. The Reish only stands on 1 point, but the Aleph has 2 feet. The Mem has 2 feet, and the Taf has 2 feet. It's a great question. I used to think this was in the Maharal. This is not. The Maharal is just basing himself on this Gemara. So what does that mean? Why is that the case? It says the Gemara, Kushta koi, shikra lo koi. When there's something that's truthful, it lasts. But when they're sheker, it may be flashy for a few minutes, but it won't last forever. People will, in due time, know the difference. Atbash, famously, this is well known as a gematria, but it's also a way to understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we will see right now. Atbash is a form of gematria where if you have the word Abba, then in Atbash, the Aleph is similar to the Taf, the base to the Shin. So Abba would be Toshes, Tafshin Sa. So that's how Atbash works, is that if you have the word Abba, then really it would spell the word Toshes. It says the Gemara, Atbash, this first part is going to be explained according to those who are not such good people. Atbash, Ositaib, you said I was discussing. Es Avelo, I'm going to be close to you. What about the Bash, Beis and Shin? B, Lo Chashak, Shimi Cholalav. You don't even want me. You're going to want me to start praising you? Gimel Reish Gufo Time Arachem Alav. The person has a Tameh Guf. I'm going to all of a sudden be merciful on him. Dalet Kuf Dal Sosai Noal Karnav Lo Agadeya. You locked your doors. I'm not going to cut you off. Ad kan midas rishayim. All of that has to do with bad people. Aval midas tzadikim is a little bit different. Atbash. What does that mean? Ima tabosh. If you have busha, then gimel reish dalet kuf. That what does that mean? Ima ta osekein gimel gur. That's gimel and reish. Baduk dalet and kuf. You will live in safety. You'll live in a safe and calm way. What about hey and sadi, which is the next? Right, we're getting closer to the middle. Atbash. It's aleph tav. Beis shin. What's the next one? Gimel reish, dalet kuf. Now we're up to hey tzadi and fei and vav and fei. Chatzitza have. This ches is a play on hey. It's not exactly the same, but the letters look alike. That's what the Meforshim point out. And it's hey and tzadi is chatzitza, and vav and fei is a reference to the word benach le'af. Something chatzitza habe benach le'af will help you control your anger. What about zayin ayin ches samach tes nun? These next letters, which bring us all the way to the middle of the word, almost. Ve'ena tamiz dazeh min asata. Zayin aleph from mizdazeh, ches and samech. Doesn't really say exactly what the letters are referencing here, but and then taf and nun have to do with satan, probably the sin, I guess, from samech. So anyways, it says that you will not be shaken by the satan. Yud mem and kaf lamed, and that completes the atbash. What about these last four letters? Omar sar shel Gehenim, the officer of Gehenim says, Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, liyam kol. Everyone should go to the yam. What does that mean? Take a look at Rashi Nebuch. 4 lines from the bottom, 5 lines from the bottom of the page toward the beginning of the line. Yud, it starts Zibur Maschal Yam Kol. Gehenim Karari Yam Kol. Gehenim is referred to Yam Kol. Why? Lefi sheharov holchen sham. Unfortunately, most people at some point are going to have to go to Gehenim to get some of our averas wiped away. Nebuch. But that's what the Sar Shel Gehenim was saying. He's just send people my way. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds with another breakdown of the Aleph base. This with an interruption of 7 letters per breakdown. Aleph ches samech is the next one. Aleph, and then 7 letters, and then ches, and then 7 letters is going to be samech. And same with bes, beis, tes, and ayin, and gimel yud pei. Ani chas aleim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to be gentle on my children. Mipnei shebe'ato. There's your beis, tes, and ayin. Mipnei shebe'ato begif. Because they kicked away begif, 3 lines from the bottom, first Rashi, the niyu. They avoided adultery. They avoided violating some serious isurim, and because of that, Hashem says to the Satan, I'm not sending them to the Yam Kol. I'm not sending them to you. They did a good job. Dalad Kaf Tzadi, Dakim Haim, they're cleansed. Kainim Haim, they're correct. Tzadikim Haim, they've done right. Hey Lamed Kuf, Ein Lecha Chelek Bohen. You're not allowed. Hey Lamed Kuf is a play again. The Hey and the Ches Chelek. You have no part of them. Hashem says to the Sar Shel Gehenim. This is blended together. It really should be Vav Mem Reish. Zayin Nun Shin, and then the last letter available is Saf, because there's 22 letters in the Aleph base. So you broke things up by 3s, Aleph, Ches, Samech, etc. 7 times 3 is 21. There's 1 letter left, so they put them all together. So Mem Resh and Zayin, and then Vav Mem Resh, and then Zayin Nun and Shin, and then Saf. Amar Gehenim Lefanav Ribono Shel Olam, Mari, my master, Zanini Mizaro Shel Sheis. Give me children who were the generations of Sheis, and you can see all the letters there as well. The Mem Resh is the Mar, the Zayin and the Nun is the Zanine, and the Shin and the Saf is Sheis. Amar Leah, Karesh Baruch Hu says to them, still another breakdown of the Hebrew language. Aleph Lamed, we go from Aleph to Lamed, and then Beis to Mem, we break the alphabet in half basically, and then Gimel to Nun and Daled to Samech. Lehechan Holichan, Legan Hadas. I'm going to send them to the place of myrtle. I'm going to send them to Gan Eden. Hey ayin vav fei. Let's keep going with this new breakdown. You're exhausting me. Give me something to do. My job is to torture people. Give me some work. Zayin tzadi ches kuf halalu zaro shel Yitzchak. Sorry, no dice. These are zaro shel Yitzchak. What's the reference to Yitzchak? Of course, the reference to Yitzchak is obviously the Akedah. Last couple of letters: tes, resh, yud, shin, and chav. Tav, tar. Be patient. That's your tav resh. Yesh, that's your Yodshin. Yeshli, kitos, that's your kas. I have plenty of people for you. Shal ovdei kochavim shani no sein lach. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu goes to defend the Jewish people. He is the best defense attorney of all against all of the efforts, as long as we do our part. Abali Tahir Messiah, and we need to make a concerted effort to do our part to try and get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are now turning to the top of Kuf Daled Amud Beis.
Hold on. Says here Seder Semanim, so this is Daf Kuf Dal, which is Atbash also. Dal Kuf.
Really? Kuf Resh Shin. Fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. Where'd you see
You're
that?
welcome. I learned this a long time ago. I have it written down on the side.
That is brilliant.
Rabbi Karesh here. Mark, you happy?
I'm always happy when you chime in.
That's
Does anybody say that? That's brilliant. Okay,
When you
let's
do Dak
continue.
Yomi 6 times a day, it happens.
It does happen, yes. This is my first rodeo. All right, thank you, Ari. Let's turn to the top of Kuf Dalet and Beis and plow away. We're back into the world of Kosev almost up until the Mishnah. Not quite, up until the bottom of the page. HaKosev Shteyoses Be'alamechad, you write 2 letters with 1 moment of forgetfulness. Chayav, you will be held accountable. Kosev B'dio, you write with ink. B'sam, with paint. B'sikra, a red type of ink. B'kumus, B'kankantum, this was some type of sulfur. V'chol davar shehu roshem, basically, if you write with anything that makes a mark, anything that leaves a mark at all, al shnei kosle zavios, you write on 2 different corners of a walls, like let's say walls that kind of adjoin like this, and you write 1 here and 1 here. Ve'al shnei levache pinkas, you write on 2 different pages in a notebook. Ve'hein nehegin zaimzen, they're kind of communicating with one another. Chayev, you're going to be chayev in all those cases. But kosev al basaro chayev, someone who writes on their flesh, that's not a kula either. You're going to be chayev. Let's say, for example, it's Shabbos, and you have a phone number that you wrote on your hand. L'chora, you're not allowed to wipe it off on Shabbos. Not fully, at least. You can wash Netilas Yadayim, it'll be Davar Shem Miskabing, but if you write something on your hand based on this Mishnah alone, l'chora, if it's usher to write it on your hand, then there would also be an isser of mocheg, so you should be careful if you write things on your hands, if they're communicative, if it's just you were drawing and you have a little bit of shamnunish from the pen on your hand, that's different. But if you were trying to communicate, you wrote your name on your hand, you wrote a phone number, you wrote someone's birthday, whatever it is, then you are not allowed to erase it on Shabbos either. Hamisari Talbasara, what if someone scratches into their skin? That might be usher for other reasons, but if one did so in regards to Kosev on Shabbos, Machlokas Tanaim, Rabbi Eliezer Mechayev Chatas V'Chacham and Pochim. One says Chayev, one says Pater. Kosa b'mashkin, you write with liquid, b'mei peiros, with juice, be'avak drachim, just some kind of like some puddle water, be'avak drachim, be'avak sofer, be'avak hasofrim, v'chol davar she'enim iskayim Pater. Any liquid that you're going to use, invisible ink, anything that's not going to last, maybe the reverse of invisible ink. It's whatever it's called. When you write it, it disappears. Disappearing ink, excuse me. So then that would be pater. But what about a pencil? What does one thing have to do with the other? The fact that it can be erased in theory, that's not grounds for dismissal. That should be just as bad. What about la'achar yada? You do something in a weird way. Beraglo, you write with your foot. Befiv, in your mouth. Umar piko, in your elbow. Kasavos echad samuch Samuch l'ksav, let's say a word is already written and you add a letter to that word. V'chasav al gabe ksav, you write on top of a letter that's already written. You're tracing. Niskaven lichtov ches v'kasav shnei zayin. As we will learn more today, the letter ches is made up of either 2 zayins, where there are 2 zayins like that kind of meet each other, and they have a little caret as a gog that connect the 2 of them. So if you're trying, let's go back in the Mishnah. I lost my spot. Oh, here you go. So it says lichtov ches v'chasav shnei zayin, but you didn't connect them well. Instead, you wanted to write a ches. That was your intention, but instead you wrote 2 zayin. Achas ba'aretz v'achas b'kora, 1 on the floor, 1 on the ceiling. Kasav al shnei koslei abayis. You write on 2 walls of the house al shnei dape pinkas, on 2 pages. The ein nehagin zaim zed, different than the ratio where we said you're chayiv. Here, these are disconnected. You read a random letter in one language on one wall, and they're unrelated to each other. A nehagin zaim zed, they're not learned together. Pater. In all of those cases, you're pater. Kasav os achas notrikon. We're going to learn a lot about notrikon on the top of Kufei Amud Aleph before the Mishnah. So if a person were to write benotrikon, which is like shorthand, it's like kind of writing, just writing Roche Tevos. If you were to write, whatever, I don't know, pick a Roche Tevos. If you were to write, Hey Beis Ayin Hacha B'Maya Skinan, so you'd be chayav potentially in a significant way for that. That's even though it's not a word on its own, but you're communicating an idea. So notrikon, Rabbi Yeshua ben Beser, Machayev Chacham and Pochon Machlokes Tanim. Let's start from the beginning. Dio diuta. The word dio is ink. Sam sama. These are all going to be references to different types of ink, a kind of paint. Sikra. This is a type of red dye. Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana Sikra Sashema. Kumus is kuma. Kankantum. Amar Rabbi Bar Bar Chana. Amar Shmuel. Charsa de oshbeche, it's some type of sulfur, some type of chemical that is used by a shoemaker. Uv'chol davar shehu roshem, anything that is going to be causing for writing. La'asuye mai. Whenever we see kol davar, it always means to add something. What does it come to include? La'asuye hadatani Rabbi Chanina. It comes to include the following: kasvu b'mei taria. If you're writing with dirty rainwater filled with dirt, be'afza. This is an extract from walnuts. If you write with one of those kasher, because they will last, even though they're not normal forms of writing, but they're also at the same time they're not disappearing. So anything that's going to last, anything at all that's going to last, is going to be considered problematic. We used to, when we were little kids, we used to raid cabins. We would take ketchup and mustard, spray them all over the walls. L'chora, that would be an Isser D'Oraisa on Shabbos if you were to write something or draw something, because it stays. It's not going anywhere until you clean it off. Good. Tani, we have a source in the Tanaim, Rabbi Chia Ksavo. Rabbi Chia writes it in regards to the writing of a get. Let's just give some framing. If a get has a flaw in it, the get is not kosher, the couple's still married, and if she remarries and has a baby, the kid's a mamzer. There are very serious halachic implications in regards to the get being kosher. Yet, what do we see here in this source in the Tanaim, halfway down, Kuf Daled Amud Beis, that if you write something, ksavo be'ever, if you write something with lead, b'shachor, with black, uv'shichor, with coal, or with some type of polish, kosher, the get is going to be kosher. It's not a pen, it's not a quill, doesn't make a difference. These things are all valid for writing purposes, in which case, Pashut, that by Shabbos they will be considered some type of ink. Hamasarit al Basara, what about scratching one's skin? Tanya, Amar lehen Rabbi Eliezer lechachamim. Remember, we saw in our Mishnah that in this regard there was a machlokas. Rabbi Eliezer said that the person who scratched in their skin would be chayav achatas, and the chachamim said pater. What do we see here, halfway down by the two dots? Tanya, Amar lehen Rabbi Eliezer lechachamim. The Rabbi Eliezer who says that you're chayav, ask a question to the chachamim. V'halo ben setada, this guy. He wrote down incantations. Kshafim, used to write them down, scratch them into his skin when he left Mitzrayim. Besrita shal besaro. So how can you say Chachamim that you're pater? We have Ben Satada. He said that he did this. You should be chayiv. It's a normal way to behave. Said the Gemara, he wasn't normal. Amrulo shota haya. He was not. Hold on one second, please. He was not considered to be normal. You cannot bring a raya from someone who doesn't behave normally. Yes.
Do you know who Ben Satada is?
No.
It says here Yeshua ben Pandria.
Who's that?
Good guy.
Yashka.
Oh, really?
Was censored. That's why he had that name.
Where do you see
that? I have here Ritva Kuf Gimel Yeshabi Per Gimel. So I'm not sure.
It's not on the page.
No, I wrote that in.
Let's see what the reference is here. That doesn't reference in there. Okay, very good. So he brought Kshafim from Mitzrayim.
And what is in the? I'm not sure what does Tyson say over here, but Ben Stada.
It was in the times of Papas ben Yehuda, the Habibim Rabbi Akiva. It was someone who lived during the time of Rabbi Akiva, post Churban Bayis Sheni,
which is right by that time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not holding. Not sure.
I'd like to go to
so let's continue.
Ritva Kufyud Gimel.
Okay, you're welcome to look afterwards. Here we go. Kasav os achas samoch l'chsav. Let's say that I see the word av pre-written before Shabbos, and I want to add the letter aleph at the end to write the word abba. So our Mishnah said you're pater. Mantan, who's the opinion of that? Amar Rava bar Rav Huna, Delo Rabbi Eliezer. That is not like the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. What did he say? Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer, Ha'amar achas al ha'arig chayiv. He was very makbid. That even if you did one stitch, you're going to be chayiv. Namely, we would extrapolate. We'd apply that here too. Even if you add one letter from the word av to abba, that would also be chayiv. So therefore, it can't be that our Mishnah is like Rabbi Eliezer, because our Mishnah says pater, and he would have definitely held chayiv. 2 dots, 2/3 of the way down. Ksav al gabe ksav. What about overlaying on a letter that already exists? We said pater in our Mishnah. Mantana, who's the author of this idea? Amar Chizda delok Rabbi Huda. Can't be like Rabbi Huda. Tanya. All right, here's a fascinating case. You're a sofer. You get to writing by the Ber Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei. You're ready to write Hashem's name, but your brain slips. V'niskaven lichtov Yehuda with the dalet in the middle. The difference between Yud Kei Vav Kei and Yehuda is just inserting the letter dalet. So your brain slips. You're a sofer. Instead of writing Yud Kei Vav Kei, your head says, "I'm about to write Yehuda," and then v'ta'a below hitil bo dalet, and you forgot to put in the dalet. What's the result? Yud Kei Vav Kei. Absolutely. What's the din? Says Rabbi Yehuda, Mavir alav kumus umekadsho divrei Rabbi Yehuda. We have a din that when you write Shem Hashem in Safros, you have to have kavanah to write it. But if your kavanah was to write Yehuda and you just forgot the daled, the result is not Shem Hashem. What does Rabbi Yehuda paskin? Take the quill, take some ink, and go over it yet again. Just rewrite. You're fine. It's good. What does that show you? That writing is a writing. That's something. It's not nothing. That name was a 0 before, and it's Shem Hashem now. You were Mekadesh to Shem by overwriting. The Haraya that our Mishnah cannot be like Rabbi Yehuda because he was Mekadesh that name by saying, write the Ksav al Gabe Ksav. You can overwrite on Hashem's name with more ink in order to guarantee that it is considered to be Shem Hashem. They say that does not work. That does not work. That name is ruined. Fascinating how the Rishonim point out here. This is all. This has to do with Zekeli Van Vehu, and we see here the Chachamim still say that it has to go into Genizah. You ruin the whole Sefer Torah. It's not a good thing to do. If you're a sofer, you're like in Sefer Dvarim, and you make this error, you just wasted 10 months of your life because, you get a lot of mitzvahs, presumably, but that Sefer Torah is not kosher. Let's continue. Tana, we learned in the Tanaim, Kasavos Achas V'Ishlima LeSefer. You write the last word Yisrael, you write the letter Lamed at the end of a Sefer Torah. You didn't write anything else. What's the din? Or Arag Chut Echad V'Ishlima LeBeged, you stitch the final stitch, Chayev. Says the Gemara Mantana, who's the author of that? Amar Rabba Bar Rav Huna, Rabbi Eliezer, he to Amar, Achas al ha'arig chayev. We saw this already. Maybe this is just the machmir sheet of Rabbi Eliezer. Every last thing that you do is going to be chayev. Maybe that's it. Says the Gemara, that's possible, but there's another option as well. A more expansive option. Ravashi Amar Afilu Temer Rabbanan. You don't have to say like the narrow strict sheet of Rabbi Eliezer. Maybe the Rabbanan would agree because lahashlim shiny. It's like makeh b'patish. It's like finishing a whole sefer. So even though it's only one stitch, even though it's the Lamed of Yisrael at the end of Sefer Dvarim, you're done. Chazak, you're totally done. But you only wrote one letter. Okay, but you're going to be chayiv because you were mashlim the entire sefer. So machlokas in the Gemara between these two Tanaim, between the Rava Bar Rav Huna and Ravashi, do we say it's just like Rabbi Eliezer, or do we say that it's even like the Chachamim, as Ravashi explains? Amar Rav Yomi, Amar Rav Ami, 10 lines from the bottom. Kosavos achas b'Tveria, ve'os achas b'Tzipori chayiv. You write 2 letters, one in different cities that are near each other. Din, you're chayiv. Why? Because ksivahi, it's considered writing Elashim Mechusar Kriva. They're just not near each other, but they're written on luchos. They're written on boards. You can move them next to each other. You wrote an aleph and a beis. You can move them near each other, and you'd be chayiv. Says the Gemara, v'hatnan. Wait a minute. What about our Mishnah? Kosav al shnei koslei abayis al shnei dape pinkas ve'ein nehegin zemizeh poter. What did we say? In the same room, you write on 2 walls that meet at a corner, an aleph over here and a beis over there. But you didn't intend for them to connect to each other. You wrote an aleph and you wrote a 3, totally disconnected. We said they're not nagins, and we said that you're putter. So how could it be that you're chayiv with one letter written in Tveria? They're in different cities. How could you say that you're chayiv? Says the Gemara, Hasam, in one case, mechutzer ma'isa kreva. When it comes to the 2 walls, it's impossible to make them closer. They're part of the walls. Rashi says you have to cut the walls. But here, but over there, and just move the 2 pieces together. No problem. You got an Eruv, move the 2 pieces together. You can have them together. Therefore, in that case of the 2 cities, you're chayev. But even in the very same room, you're going to be pater. Tana higios achas chayev. What do we see? We see that if a person fixes one letter in the Torah, you're chayev. Says the Gemara, hold on. Hashta kasavos achas pater in general, minus Rabbi Eliezer sheet. So if you write one letter, Ladino, we hold that you're pater. How can it be that higia osachas chayiv? That's crazy. You fix the letter kaf, you're going to be chayiv. Even if you write the whole letter kaf, you're pater. Doesn't make any sense. Says the Gemara 2 answers. What you did is, as mentioned, there's 2 zayins that build the letter ches, and there's a little chukchik at the top, a little upside down V that connects the 2. If you scratch that off, your higia, you're going to be chayiv. Because what you just did is you created 2 letters by removing that. You created 2 letter zayins. So that's the first answer in the name of Rav Sheshes. Shenatalo legago shel ches ve'asau shnei zayin. Rava Amar kegon shenatalo letago shel dalis ve'asau reish. You scratched off the top right back of the dalit in order to make it into a reish, and therefore you created a new letter. You had a dalit, and now you wrote a reish by removing the last little piece. One of those 2 options would therefore lead to the Isser as mentioned by Higia Os Achas, that you're going to be Chayiv, that if you fix one letter, you're going to be Chayiv. Tana, we learned in the Tanoim, Iskaben Lichtov Os Achas, the Alu Biyado Shtaim. My intention was to write one letter, and I accidentally wrote two. You're going to be Chayiv. Take a look at Rashi, top of the page, Dibra Maschil, Ba'alu Biyado Shtaim, Hainu Nami Miskaben Lichtov Ches V'Kasav Shnei Zayin. Same type of thing, but what it's different. Your kavana here wasn't you over there. It was higia. You're trying to fix something. Here, it's not that. Here, what we're saying is that your intention was to do what? To write one letter, but you accidentally wrote two. The din is your chayv. It's not pater. We have in our Mishnah that you're pater in such a case. Lokasha hadabai ziyuni hadalo bai ziyuni. Rashi here points out in one case you need the tagin, and because the letters aren't finished, so therefore you're not yet going to be chayv hadalo bai ziyuni. Here you are the low by unit. Here you are not going to need the tagin, and therefore you are going to be chayev. Last piece of Gemara, for almost the last piece that's going to take us to the end. Here we're going to learn about notrikon. Kasav os achas notrikon. Rabbi Yeshua ben Beser Machayev Chacham Potrin Machlokes in the Tanaim about notrikon. Hey Beis Ayin, are you chayev for writing Hacha b'Maya Skinan even though you only wrote Hey Beis Ayin? What's the din? Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra. How do we know that there's notrikon, that there are these ideas where one word could be representative of many words, and that it's found in the Torah? The Gemara is going to present a number of different answers. Number one, Shene'emar ki av hamon goyim nesaticha, speaking about Abraham. Aleph Beis, av nesaticha le'umos, bachor nesaticha ba'umos. Av, he was a father. Bachor, he was the choicest of them, and he was given to the nations. What about the word hamon? The word hamon is played out a little differently. Hamon, the hay of Hamon is used as a ches. Chaviv, nisaticha be'umos. The mem of Hamon, melech nisaticha lumos. You gave us Abram, who was a king to the nations. The vav of Hamon is vasik nisaticha be'umos, someone very special. And nema nisaticha le'umos, someone who is trustworthy for the people. This is the notrikon of Av, Hamon, Goim, of the word Av and the word Hamon. Next answer of Yochanan Didei, Rav Yochanan himself. Why does it say Didei? Because if you look at the two dots that we started with this whole thing, it says Amar Rav Yochanan. So Rav Yochanan is giving his own answer. Amar Anochi, the word Anochi in the 10 Commandments of Hashem talking was also notrikon. What did Hashem say? Ana nafshi ksavis yahavis. I wrote this myself, and yahavis, I'm giving it to you. The Rabbanan Amrei, they say another one. Aleph Nun, Amira, Ne'ima, Kaf, Yud, Ksiva Yahavis, something beautiful was written and given to us. Ikada Amrei, there are those who say that it's reversed. It's not written Aleph Nun Chaf Yud, but Yud Chaf Nun Aleph. It's written backwards. Ikada Amrei Anochi Lamafre. It's written backwards. Yehiva Ksiva, you gave me something in writing. Ne'eman and Amoreha, and trustworthy are its writings. Another possibility. Diber of Nasan Amrei Ki Yarat Haderech Lenegdi. This was the famous story where the donkey of Bilam HaRasha saw the Malach Hashem. Yara, what's the Yarat? What does it mean? Yud Test. Yara, Rasa, Natasa. He saw, he feared, he saw, and then Hashem opened his eyes, he saw, and then Natasa, he went to the side and crushed Bilam's leg against the wall. The Be'er Bishmel Tana, Carmel. What is this talking about, Carmel? This is a pasuk in the Torah. The pasuk reads, this is by Minchas Bikurim. It says, the pasuk reads, Geres Carmel Takrives Minchas Bikurecha. Take a look at Rashi, Dibur Hamaschil, Carmel, 6-7 lines down in the Rashi, Carmel, Gabi Minchas HaOmer Ksiv, Geres Carmel, Shemevia, Kshehulacha, it's brought when it's moist, but Odsha, Zera, Nafuach, while the seed is still swollen from moisture. The hakar shalkash malay hemenu, and it's going to be filled up. It's going to fill something up. Carmel, kar malay. It's going to fill up the whole entire thing. It's going to be full. Next, Ravacha bar Yaakov Amar v'hu kilalani kilalanim retzes. This is when David was talking about Shimi ben Gera. Shimi ben Gera gave him a tremendous curse. Notrikon. What was the notrikon of the word nimretzes? Nun noef. Because of the story of Bathsheba, that Shimi ben Gera thought he was a Menaev, Moabi, because he came from the family of Rus Moabi, who wrote Seachu, he was a killer because of Uriah. He sent Bathsheba's husband to the front lines. So Rerhu, he did terrible things. Toeva, he's abominable. Another example. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar Mana daber manit tadak. These were the brothers talking to Yosef. What can we say to you when Yosef revealed himself to the brothers? As we say on the first night of Slichos, Ein Peh Lahashiv. There's nothing you can respond to that type of comment that Yosef made. You are lips sealed, nothing to say. Manitz tadak, what would make us righteous? That response alone, however, was a notrikon. Nechonim anachnu, that's the nun. We really, in the end, we're good now. Tzadikim anachnu, now we're tzadikim. Tahorim, we're holy. Dachim Dakim, we are correct. Anachnu. Kedoshim anachnu, we are holy. Last Mishnah to bring us to the end of the parak and the end of the night. Hakosef shtei osios b'shtei ha'alamos, if you write 2 letters in 2 ha'alamos. The last Mishnah on the top of Kuf Daled Bey said if you write 2 letters in 1 ha'alama. Now if you write 2 letters in shtei ha'alamos, or achas shachris v'achas bein ha'arbaim, there's a machlokes tanoim. Rabbi Gamliel machai b'chachamim potrim. What's this machlokes about? We saw this machlokes already in another frame, and here we're going to see it where it belongs. But my kamiflage machlokes between these 2 tanoim is about something different. Rabbi Gamliel savar ein yediyah lechatzi shir. Rabbi Gamliel was of the opinion that when you have a das in between 2 parts of a chatzi shir, the das does not separate. And because the das does not separate, you could write 1 letter shachris and 1 arbis. You're still going to be chayiv, as is the din of Rabban Gamliel in our Mishnah. Masha'ein came, the Rabbanon Sabre, the rabbis hold yesh yediyah lechatzi shir, that when you do a chatzi shir, the yediyah in between each half is going to separate the 2 halves of the maisa. And therefore, says the Rabbanim with the shtei ha'alamos of ksiva, or if you write 1 letter shachris, 1 letter arvis, you're going to be pater. Baruch Hashem, we finished another perek. Hadran Allah chabona, hadran Allah chabona, hadran Allah chabona. May we be zochet to come back to this page in 7.5 years. Wishing you a beautiful night and a beautiful Shabbos. Thank you for being here.